What's up, guys? What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. My name is Roman, your beginner-friendly guide to saving in Bitcoin. Simple stuff here. We buy the Bitcoin, we take custody of the Bitcoin, and we continue to do the same, to rinse and repeat. Why? We'll learn about it a little bit more here in the show. If you're new to Bitcoin, have any questions, please do ask them in the chat. It's my favorite thing to do is answer questions for beginners. I'm here to help you understand what Bitcoin is, how you can start saving in it, and why you should start saving in it, okay? Again, it's not financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing to beat inflation on our goal, on our way to making our goal of one whole Bitcoin here on the show. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Hard Huddle. Also for Carlos Jaramillo. Carlos, it's been a long time. Good to see you in here. I hope all is well. As you can see, we did a little maintenance around the show, updated some things, you know. So, oh my God, I just realized Bitcoin's pumping. Holy cannoli, we're up at 107,000. Jeez. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into the first segment of the show. Of course, we call that the Bitcoin strength. And the Bitcoin strength is, the Bitcoin is pumping. It's pumping iron, pumping like crazy. Where's my sheet? There it is. Nope. It's crazy. I looked away from the charts and we're pumping. Wild. Let's see. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Anyway, let me find this page with our with our current price of Bitcoin. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, here we are. We're here. Here, oops, there it is, and there it is. $107,222.87. That's how much a Bitcoin is right now. It's wild. You can buy 932 Satoshis for $1 today. For USD, you can buy 932 Satoshis. It's the highest price we've seen here on the show for sure during one of our lives, I think. Yeah. 932 Satoshis. What the heck is a Satoshi? A Satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents, a Bitcoin is made up of 100 million Satoshis. So when you look at the price of $107,000, don't be afraid. You don't need to have $107,000 to get started with Bitcoin. Okay, you can start with as little as $1. And today, at this price, $1 will buy you 932 fractions of a Bitcoin, right? Let's say you're walking down the street minding your own business. You look down, you see a penny, you pick it up, and all the day that penny will buy you about 9 Satoshis for a single penny. When we started the show back on May 22nd, 2023, one penny was buying you 39 to 40 Satoshis. $1 was going to buy you about 4,000 Satoshis. Today, because the purchasing power of the dollar has gone down so much, it's only going to buy you less than 1,000 Satoshis. 932 Satoshis. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Thinking about it that way. It's wild to see the price up here, right? Okay, so earlier today, I did a TikTok video on answering the question that people have been asking, which is at now $107,000 Bitcoin. At $107,000 Bitcoin, since Bitcoin is so close to the all-time high of about 109,000, we're really close. Let me see how far we are. We are officially, let's see. Like 2% away from all-time high. 2% away from a new Bitcoin all-time high. At these levels, does it make sense to continue to buy Bitcoin? If you're new to Bitcoin and you just heard about it because it's in the news because it's back up to 107,000, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin? And let's talk about that real quick, right? some people are going to argue that no, it's not a good time to buy Bitcoin because it's near the all-time high, and maybe it's going to come back down, and there's going to be better buying opportunities in the future. Some people might say, you know what, buy whenever you can because you don't know how high it's going to go. It's an asymmetric opportunity, right? You have more likelihood. It's more likely that Bitcoin's going to continue to go up than go down, right? And I want to, I guess, share my thoughts on that process. Like, should you buy at these prices or not, right? And I think what it comes down to is what is your timeline, right? Like when do you think you'll need to withdraw that value out of your Bitcoin, right? I mean, normally my go-to thing here is I don't sell. I have no intention of selling it, right? I have no intention of selling it anytime in the near future, right? But for somebody that's new to Bitcoin, they see the hype, they might think like, oh yeah, I'll go buy some, then I'll go sell it in a couple months, or sell it in a couple weeks, or sell it when it goes up a little bit and make a little bit of profits, right? Yeah, that's gonna attract people initially, right? But once they're in here, you have to understand what Bitcoin truly is, right? Bitcoin is a way for you to conserve the value of your hard work against the debasement that's happening on the money system constantly every day, right? So I was looking at the in the U.S., Trump's trying to do a tax cut for the wealthy, for corporations, that would basically add about close to $4 trillion to the national debt, right? And even if that bill doesn't go through, you would still have inflation continuously increasing the supply of the U.S. government continuously increasing the supply of dollars, and when the supply of dollars increases, the purchasing power of each individual dollar goes down, and so does the purchasing power of your savings that are denominated in dollars or in whatever government currency you're in, right? And so when I think about the question, am I too late to buy at $107,000 Bitcoin? I think to myself, well, my timeline, my horizon is when I buy the Bitcoin, I intend on holding it for at least 4 years, right? A cycle, right? And in the history of Bitcoin, if you're able to hold it for at least 4 years from the date of purchase, you're pretty much going to be in the green, right? Right now, as we stand, about 99.9% of Bitcoin holders are in profits, right? Like you've only lost at this point if you bought basically the all-time high, right? So it's crazy. Along the Bitcoin timeline, if you look at the Bitcoin timeline at the price range, in the span of a year, you're basically, if you can hold it for 4 years, if you can hold it for 4 years, you're basically going to be in profits. If you can hold it for 2 cycles, about 8 years, you're going to be way better off than you were if you weren't holding it. Carlos Aramillo says, I like to have a bit of fiat ready for the next bear market. I remember the last one, and I literally nailed the bottom because I DCA'd there you go, I DCA daily. There you go. Nice, Carlos. That's the way to do it. That is the way to do it. I think Carlos was the one that showed us this map as well, showed us this grid. So thanks for getting this to us, Carlos. Very good. So slow and steady, we continue to stack. And I guess to answer the question, do you want to be rich? So want to be rich? Then don't save money, right? Let's save in Bitcoin. That's the quick answer to the clickbaity thumbnail. Is this? We save in Bitcoin, right? We save in Bitcoin so that we can our purchasing power can increase. Okay, let's introduce the why we stack segment, and then we'll talk about exactly what I mean by don't save money. Okay, here we go. Oops, wrong one. Why we stack. All right, let's talk about the topic of today's episode, which is don't save money if you want to be rich. Okay. Money is just a way to, it represents like economic energy, right? So you take that money that you earned and you convert it into something else that is inflation resistant, right? You can do a lot of different things with your value, convert it to a lot of different asset types. Like you can go and invest your money in real estate, I guess, and stocks and bonds. If you believe that those assets will increase the purchasing power of your savings, of the value you set aside. Okay. But most of those asset classes don't even beat inflation, right? If it's not growing at least 10, 11% year over year, then you're basically losing purchasing power. You're getting poorer by holding those assets, right? And some of those assets are really hard to get into. For example, real estate, right? You need to get a really big down payment to get into your first home. Or if you're trying to get into becoming a landlord and you can have a bunch of units that you can rent out, it still takes a lot of money to get started in those things and commit all this money into it, and also be on the hook for a big loan, and pay taxes on those properties, pay insurance on those properties, have to deal with tenants on those properties, have to do repairs, have to deal with whatever your local rules and laws and regulations are for having a building or tenants, and for all these different things that are outside of your control, right? And in the end, if you're done paying for this building or this real estate, you still have to continue to pay every year. You still have to continue to pay taxes on it. So in the end, you never really own that thing. You never really own that property. But that's besides the point. Let's get back to how difficult it is to get into those type of situations, right? You still have to have a lot of initial capital to get started, right? And what those asset classes are doing for you is they're taking the value of your savings, or the energy of your earnings, and you're putting it into an asset that theoretically should be performing better than inflation. And historically, that's been the case, right? Real estate going up about 5-6% year over year. That used to beat inflation of like 2 or 3%, people think, right? But we all understand now that the CPI is a basket of goods that does not include the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of gas. So the CPI is not really reflecting the true rate of inflation, right? If you want to know the true rate of inflation, look how much your egg prices have gone up. Look how much your gas has gone up. Look how much your milk has gone up. Things that are hard to make are going to reflect more accurately the true inflation of the money. Okay, so as the money inflates and your property that you invested in, theoretically, that is not beating inflation, it's making you actually poorer to hold those things, even though it feels like you're making more money because the value of your property is going up, because everything is going up because of inflation. You're still not making more than your property is not growing in value faster than the rate at which the rate at which the money supply is increasing. So therefore, you're not beating inflation. You feel like you're getting wealthier, but you're not getting wealthier. You're actually getting poorer. You just can't feel it yet because you see the value of your property go up. It's going up, but not as fast as supply is growing, as the money supply is growing, right? So, bar that, you go into Bitcoin, and you don't need to put a down payment to start on Bitcoin. You don't need to take out a loan to get started in Bitcoin, right? You don't need to save up whatever, $3,000, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 to get a down payment on a house. No, you do need to do that on a house, but on Bitcoin, no, you don't need that. You can start today with $1, $10, $100. You don't need, the barrier to entry is so low. And once you're in Bitcoin, whatever amount of value you've stored in Bitcoin, it's shielded now from the inflation, just as it would be if you had like a whole Bitcoin, right? However much value you set aside in Bitcoin, it doesn't matter how much it is. It reaps the same benefits as having a whole Bitcoin, right? Or more than a whole Bitcoin, right? And once you own it, once you buy it and take custody of that Bitcoin, there's no cost of ownership, right? It costs you the same to hold it for a day than it does to hold it for 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, right? Because once your transaction has been written to the blockchain, there's no cost of maintenance. There's no taxes on it unless you sell it. There's no taxes just for owning it. There's no middleman trying to take a cut of your profits because they're managing it for you, right? It's 100% free and clear, yours until you decide to sell it, and then you pay the capital gains tax on that sale, right? If by the time you sell it, they're still charging capital gains on that Bitcoin, because maybe by the time you need to sell it, Bitcoin has become an official currency of the U.S. or whatever country you're in, and once it becomes an official currency, then there's no capital gains tax on that, right? So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So stack hard, and then continue to stack some more. All right. Let me see some of these good comments coming through. Guys, we have enabled anybody can chat in the chat now. So if you're new to the show, watching it, been curious about chatting in the live, you no longer have to be subscribed to chat, but we appreciate every subscription because it helps us grow. But now you can jump in here and give us your 2 cents without committing to a subscription. So take advantage of that if you want. Koji Monster says, just DCA. I don't worry about the price as I'm hodling long term. Exactly. We don't worry about the price because there's no need to. Like, we do hype up the price here on the show because it's fun. First of all, right? It feels good to see the price go up when you've been in it for a while, and that's kind of what beginners are into, right? People that don't necessarily understand how Bitcoin works and the benefits of it, right? They're in for like the number go up of the dollar value go up, right? Even though you and I, we know that we're in here for the Satoshi count go up number. For the Bitcoin count go up, that's the number go up that we care about, right? The number of Satoshis in our wallet that we have the keys for, that we have control over, that's more important than the value of the Satoshis priced in melting ice cubes that is $1, right? So that is why we stack. And to wrap up the why we stack segment, to keep it nice and short and to the point, if you were walking down the street and you saw me and you recognized me, or you saw that I was wearing a Bitcoin shirt, a Bitcoin hat, and you said to yourself, you know what, I heard about and you said to me, I heard about Bitcoin. You know what? You have a minute to tell me about Bitcoin on this elevator ride, and I'll give you my elevator pitch for why we should save in Bitcoin and why it's the best thing you could be doing with your savings at this point in history, right? I would say to you, I would hit the second floor button because I'm going to the second floor. I don't know why. And as the elevator doors closed, I would say to you, here we go. We save in Bitcoin because saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for, as long as you hold a Bitcoin that represents those hours. Like that. And you would hear a gong and an air horn and the audience cheering as soon as I said that. Yes, in that elevator, you would hear that. But that is a really dense statement there. Okay. Over, I guess now about 2 years of talking about this topic and trying to figure out the best way to dilute, to condense down, not dilute, to condense down the Bitcoin message when it comes to saving in Bitcoin. Yes, there's all these other features, right? There's all of the other virtues and benefits of Bitcoin, sovereignty and no third-party risk. Yes, all those are great things, but here we focus on just the savings aspect of it, right? Because again, we're trying to be beginner friendly, right? And what's most appealing to beginners? The number go up, right? So how can I take the value of your savings, put it into this asset class, and then that makes your savings grow, maybe even double if you hold it long enough, maybe even quadruple if you hold it long enough, right? Without having to do anything extra, without having to go and become a real estate developer, a stocks trader, a day trader, right? The value of my savings has all on its own, thanks to Bitcoin being the hardest asset you can own, and the inflationary system we're in. I have inflation now working for me instead of against me, because every single cent that I convert to 9 Satoshis is now making me wealthier just by holding it. Okay. And I'm not just talking the talk here, guys. We've been buying Bitcoin here live during the show for 2 years. It will be our 2-year anniversary on Thursday this week, in 2 days. So let me know in the chat, how do you think we should celebrate the 2-year anniversary? Should we buy $200 worth of Bitcoin? Should we do something different? Should we give away some stuff? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think we should do? How do you think we should celebrate our 2-year anniversary of the Stack Bitcoin show, formerly known as the Stack Sats show? But some a-hole came out with the altcoin called Sats coin, and we had to change the name because I didn't want to accidentally promote some BS trash coin. All right. TMI. All right, so let's do this. Let's jump into the next segment of the show that we like to call the Stack Recap, because we don't only talk about stacking Bitcoin here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. We actually do it. And here is the proof of stack, the proof of DCA. We've been stacking Bitcoin here since May 22nd, 2023. And we track each year separately. We've tracked 2024 on its own sheet, and we've tracked 2025 on its own sheet. Let's have a look at the 2025 sheet. Most of our buys in 2025 were about $20 and $40 when we were in the negative. Our position for 2025 was down as far as of about 10 or 12% down this year, back when Bitcoin was dipping down to $76,000, $77,000. That was our lowest buy of 2025. We bought a quadruple stack. We bought $80 worth of Bitcoin. That purchase is now about $109 worth of value, right? And so far in 2025, we've set aside $3,580 and accumulated 3.9 million Satoshis. Those Satoshis, or those 0.03941152 Bitcoin, are currently worth about $4,000, $4,200. This shows you that if we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, it would cost us 17.51% more of today's weaker money. Hang on to that thought. It repeats. In 2024, we did a separate sheet for just the buys of 2024. That year, we bought $7,345 worth of Bitcoin and accumulated 0.122 Bitcoin. If we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, with today's weaker dollar, it would cost us 77% more, because the dollar is losing purchasing power. And if you've been saving in dollars for the past year, you've lost out on about 77% worth of growth on the purchasing power of those savings. That's why it's so important to understand the concept of inflation and what it does to your savings if you're saving in dollars. Okay? If we were to have saved the $7,000 in cash, in dollars, not only would we not have seen our savings grow, but the purchasing power of the money that's in our savings would buy us a lot less things, right? Because the prices of everything has gone up about 77%, right? So, if you look at it, if you flip that and you look at your savings, $7,300 turned into $13,000. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We gained about $6,000 worth of value by doing absolutely nothing other than buying the Bitcoin, taking custody of the Bitcoin, and sitting on our hands, or continuing to stack in that. And anyway, round of applause from the live studio audience for Santiago. Santiago, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. I hope all is well. If you have any questions, sir, please do put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you're new to Bitcoin especially, if anything part of Bitcoin is confusing, the buying, the moving of Bitcoin, the storage of Bitcoin, the wallets, the cold wallet, the hot wallets, the what's it called, the signing devices, any of those things come to mind, you ask questions, I got answers. We're like the Radio Shack of Bitcoin. Let me know in the chat. Do you know what Radio Shack is? If you know what Radio Shack is, comment with I don't know, comment with like a do they even have a radio emoji? If you know what Radio Shack is, let me know in the chat. Say Radio Shack or something. I don't know. All right. So there it is so far in 2024. That stack has grown about 77%. And now let's talk about the stack for the whole lifespan of the show. May 22nd, 2023, Bitcoin Pizza Day, almost about 2 years ago. $27,360 Bitcoin. We bought $5 worth on that day and acquired our first 18,000 Satoshis, 0.00018 Bitcoin. Those $5 today, those $5 worth of Bitcoin today are worth about $19.20. Slow and steady, continuing to stack and grow the position to get to our goal of documenting once and for all here on the show from zero, the process of DCAing all the way up to one whole Bitcoin. That is the goal of the show. It's pretty ambitious, but through different activities and of course our regularly scheduled Monday through Friday DCA, we've accumulated 0.37221349 Bitcoin so far. And that's pretty amazing, right? We've done a bunch of extra things for the show to get extra stats so we can continue to get closer to one whole Bitcoin. But just in the DCA portion of the show where we buy live during the stream, we've done about a quarter of a Bitcoin, 0.26 Bitcoin, right? We've set aside $14,000, and that Bitcoin that we purchased today is worth about 99% more than it was when we purchased it, right? If we were to go and try to buy 26.26 Bitcoin today, it would cost us 99% more of today's weaker money to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. That's it right there. That's crazy. That's the solution right there, okay? There it is, black and white, blue, green, and yellow, and orange. This is the power of Bitcoin, okay? What would you have to do in your life to earn an extra $14,000 in the past 2 years? Would you have to go take on an extra job, start a business and do some extra hustle work, become a dancer, have a website for your fans only to earn an extra $14,000, right? I'm not talking about the original $14,000 that I invested out of my own money. I'm talking about the growth, the additional $14,000 that it grew into, right? Yeah, our show is small. We have less than 500 subscribers. But just by the virtue of me saving in Bitcoin for the show, Bitcoin has paid me about $14,000 to continue to do the show, right? I'm getting paid about $7,000 a year to do this show. By who? By Bitcoin, right? Just by the virtue of holding it. And you could do this for yourself. It's not difficult. I'm able to do the stacking and run a whole freaking show at the same time. So if I can do that, you can definitely just do the purchasing, right? All right. Let me see this question. Thought I'd share my Texas SBR just passed the House. Oh, final stage. Awaits to be signed into law by oh my gosh, Texas. The Texas strategic Bitcoin reserve. Interesting. Nice. That's cool. It's just more demand for Bitcoin, right? If you have governments buying it, so it all works for Bitcoin hodlers, right? The sad part is that a lot of people don't realize that Bitcoin already won. Bitcoin already won, right? there's nothing that can be done at this point right now by any government party, Republicans or Democrats, that will stop the printing, stop the cap, stop the printing, right? The printing is going to happen regardless of who's in office, right? So being in Bitcoin is like it's like your insurance, right? Just look, the rate at which the printer prints, right? And yeah, this is debt, so this money hasn't been printed yet. But the fact that we owe it means that we're going to have to print it. Therefore, the fact that we owe it means that the money supply is growing, right? It's wild. It's wild to see that kind of like relentless money supply expansion, right? That's how they get you. That's how they take the value of your savings. All right. So that is basically the stack recap. So far in 2025, our average buy price for 2025 is $92,000. And since the price of Bitcoin right now is at $106,000, today we're going to be stacking $20 worth of Bitcoin. Like we do Monday through Friday. When the price of Bitcoin is below our average buy price for that year, we usually do a double stack of 40. But today it's above, so we're only going to do 20. Okay? So that's what's up. Now that we know how much Bitcoin we need to buy, there's only one thing left to do. Time to stack some Bitcoin. All right. Let's do this. Let's make our purchase for today, May 20th, 2025. Buying $20 worth of Bitcoin. I'm gonna open up my Strike app here. Strike. Ooh, that's a buy from yesterday. Hit the buy button. Gonna key in $20. And we're gonna hit the next button. All right, it's queued up. It's ready to go. It's waiting for me to hit confirm. I'm gonna cut the music, hit the drum roll, and hit confirm to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin for the Stack Bitcoin Show May 20th episode. On our way to one whole Bitcoin. On our way to one whole Bitcoin. Slow and steady. We just added another 18,594 Satoshis to the stack. We're going to update the spreadsheet with today's purchase. Stick around. We'll have a little Q&A section after this. And we can get to know each other, talk about Bitcoin, and I don't know, whatever comes up. The price of Bitcoin we deserve today is $106,539.74 Bitcoin. We bought $20 worth. The yield on that is 0.0001854 Bitcoin. 18,594 Satoshis. Added to the stack. Just like that. Wonderful. Wonderful. Scroll all the way back down to the bottom to see and to add today's purchase to the spreadsheet that includes every single buy we've done here on the show. A lot of these lines are an episode of the show. We are at over 400 episodes, almost 200, almost 2 years in. And the final total for today, as of today, is 0.37239943 Bitcoin, on our way to half a Bitcoin and then to a whole Bitcoin. So slow and steady, getting it done, one stack at a time. And that's how it works. That's how it works. We stack a little stack. When the Bitcoin goes up, we stack. When the Bitcoin goes down, we stack. When the Bitcoin goes sideways, we continue to stack, because we understand that we're not here for the fiat number go up. We're here for the Satoshi and the Bitcoin number go up. As long as the amount of Bitcoin you're holding is going up, you're going in the right direction. Okay. So that's it. That is the stack. And if you have any questions, it's time to ask the questions. Put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions. And yeah, it's wild. It's interesting to see the renewed interest as Bitcoin goes up. Have you guys been getting messages from people that know they're into Bitcoin? Asking if they're too late, asking if it's time to buy or not, right? What's your advice? What would you do, right? For me, I just continue to buy, right? Because I'm in it for the long haul. So when the Bitcoin drops and we're in the 70s, like we were like a couple of months ago, like last month, it doesn't scare me. I'm like, oh, cool. Cheap sats. So I buy more, right? And when we're in times like today where we're near an all-time high, it's just like, okay, cool. Maybe we go higher, and that's great. Either way, like I feel like since we've held it so long, we're already kind of winning, right? Like, and the cool part about this is that we're not even as a show, as the Stack Bitcoin show, we haven't even lived through 4 years of Bitcoin yet. We haven't even made it through the whole cycle. Just 2 years in, we are at 98, 99% profits. That means that Bitcoin would have to go down to $60,000. Let me see if I can move this up a little bit. There it is. Bitcoin would have to go down to $60,000 for the show to be in the negative, I guess. In the negative, right? For us to lose all of our profits. And what do you think are the odds of Bitcoin going down right now to 60,000, right? And there's a sense of, I mean, and maybe this will backfire, and maybe this will like work against me in the future. But like, there's a sense of, oh dang, just like there's no hope of. Well, maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance to go down to 60,000 again. For some reason, like maybe I don't know. Maybe Coinbase ends up getting in trouble for selling paper Bitcoin or something, right? You never know. And that wrecks the economy, or that wrecks like the chart, like FTX did, and Bitcoin drops down to however crazy, ridiculous numbers, right? Even though if that were to happen, that doesn't actually affect what Bitcoin is, right? I'd be all game to buy more, right? What up, Andrew? Good to see you in the chat. ABW in the house. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Andrew. Yeah. So, like now, I feel like, sheesh, after only 2 years, to be up about 100% now in our stack, it gives you additional motivation to be in Bitcoin and to say, all right, well, now my only regret is that I didn't stack harder, right? Like maybe we should have stacked $10 a day when we first started, right? Maybe we should have stacked $20 a day when we first started, right? The only regret that I have about this whole Bitcoin thing is not going in harder at the beginning. And I think you'll find a lot of people have that same regret that are already into Bitcoin, right? But with that in mind, we take that and we learn from it, and we just think to ourselves, okay, well, just like we're looking back right now at May 22nd, 2023, when Bitcoin was at 27,000, what's going to happen 2 years from now when we look back at May 20th, 2025, when Bitcoin was at $106,000 and we thought it was it is getting close to an all-time high. When $106,000 is the bottom. Well, not the bottom, but it's the local bottom, right? 106,000 right now is a local high, but what will it be in 2 years, right? And in 2 years, are we going to look back and say, God dang, I should have done 40. I should have just continued with the $40 stacks instead of the $20 stacks. Right? So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I think that's the message. That's the message for today. That's the message. Oops. That's the message for today. Is just because you think just because Bitcoin is at all-time high or getting close to an all-time high doesn't mean you should stop your DCA. You should continue your DCA, and with the idea that you're not going to touch that Bitcoin for at least 4 years. Right? So keep stacking. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. We'll be here once again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Stacking Bitcoin, having some fun in the chat, and encouraging you guys to spread the awareness and learn about Bitcoin for yourself and for your family and for your future. Do me a favor, hit that like button on the way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the show with a friend that needs to hear about Bitcoin. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. But until then, remember, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Later, guys.